And welcome back to Music Free Static. I hope you're having a fabulous day. And I gotta tell you, I've been dealing with a bunch of stuff, which has been making my mind swirl in all sorts of unhealthy ways. Okay, I've got changes going on at work. I've got this gout stuff going on in my foot, which just has been hurting for 3 weeks. It sucks. And I got thinking about how do I find calm in all of this? Okay. And you might be dealing with the same thing. I mean, maybe not the work and the gout, hopefully. Seriously, if you can avoid the gout, do so. But you've got stuff going on. You got family things, you got work things, you got all the things. How do you find some calm? And I know I've talked about this to some extent before, but this has been really on my mind because I sat down. I remember I was in the bathroom of all stupid, because it's the best place, of course, to think. And I remember sitting there and I was looking at my cane because foot, right? Oh, it drives me nuts. Anyway, I'm sitting there looking at my cane and feeling resentful towards my stupid cane, which is making it easier for me to walk. Okay. So it's like, okay. So all in all, this is just going on. And I've realized I would be bad at chronic pain and all that stuff, right? And I'm sitting here kind of feeling sorry for myself, and I decided to put on a movie, and the movie I put on was The Love Bug. You know, the 1968 Herbie movie, right? And, you know, what happens with self-driving cars really go crazy, right? Now, so I was watching The Love Bug, and I put it on specifically because it's one of those movies that always makes me smile, right? It's a movie that I always feel better after watching. And I'm not going to get into a review of it today. I may do that at some later date, but it got me thinking. I was like, you know, there are a lot of those types of movies and books and lots of ways to pull myself into a calm space, right? Now, there's some therapists who talk about finding your happy place, right? Or your calm and peaceful place, right? I ran into that with my therapist a couple of years ago. And yeah, it's sort of part of a meditation thing, which, you know, we can talk about. Actually, let's talk about it now, because meditation is one of those things that I don't do it often personally, but it is really nice when I do. Okay, so why don't you do it more? Well, that's a good question. I don't know. But what's really nice is basically it's a way for me to do a forced reset of my emotions. Okay, now I'm an IT, right? This is just what I do. I work on servers and stuff. And boy, the number of times the solution is restart it, reboot it, right? Something like that. Meditation in some ways is a forced reset for me. It's like, okay, I'm gonna sit down. Yes, I know I've got all of these emotions of anxiety and doubt and frustration and whatever else I've got going on. Let's sit down, blank the mind, and just breathe for 10 minutes. And boy, it's amazing how well that helps. Because really what ends up happening is, again, this is a me thing. I don't know, you may feel the same thing. And if you do, hopefully this finds a home with you. But what I've run into is that I end up sort of in a pity whirlpool, right? Or an emotional whirlpool where my emotions just keep feeding on themselves, right? So the idea is that I'm frustrated, I'm anxious and all of this stuff, and I keep thinking about it and I keep getting more frustrated and more anxious, and right, it just sort of builds and I just sort of wallow in this pool of emotional gunk, right? What meditation does for me is it forces everything to stop, and I will just sit there and I will breathe. And if thoughts start to come up, I just try to shut them off. I say, no, We are not thinking right now. We are breathing. And it forces me to stop, right? Force me to stop digging my pool of ickiness here. It's like, nope, everything stops. We're not going to ride that train. We are going to just breathe. Okay. And there are some things you'll find guides. Sometimes I forgot where it was. I had found one. It was a free guide on mindfulness meditation, which is mostly what I do. And yeah, just the idea of, okay, I'm going to not deal with anything else right now, right? That can really help a lot. If there's a lot of stuff going on and I just can't stop it any other way, meditation really helps. Okay. Now, it's rarely my first option. Well, it could be my first option. It's really my first choice. Okay. Sometimes because I've got stuff to do. Now, so when I put on The Love Bug, I kind of put it on in the background while I was doing some other things. And honestly, that's how I watch a lot of movies and stuff these days. It's all second screen content. While I go through the news, while I check up on Discord, while I go through email, whatever I've got going on, or I think I was working on something else that I needed some attention on. I'm one of those people. I have to have something going in the background, otherwise I can't focus. Right? I don't know if it's an ADD type of trait or what, but I need something, music or a movie or something, right, going on. Well, in this case, it was The Love Bug, and said that is such an uplifting movie in a lot of ways, and it was great. It really helps me get through whatever levels of anxiety and nonsense I was dealing with that day. The other thing I'll do is, like, if I'm sick, right? I don't know how many of you, if you're sick, you have a go-to movie or a book or a something just to help you feel better. For me, it's The Princess Bride. If I'm feeling sick, I like to put on The Princess Bride. And it's just that comfort movie, right? The Princess Bride. Star Wars will also fall into that category for me, where it really is just I feel like garbage, and I just need something to uplift me. And in that case, I'm physically feeling bad. It's not necessarily an emotional thing, because there have certainly been days I've been an emotional wreck. But if I have a cold or a flu or what, when I had COVID, it's like, yep, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna put on The Princess Bride. And it's just. I don't know what it is about it. It could just be because I've been watching The Princess Bride since it came out in the 80s or what. But it is also a fabulous movie. So, there's that. Sometimes I just like a good book, right? And it has to be something kind of specific, right? Like if I need that sort of escape from reality, which more often than not books are for me, is that, I've got all this garbage going on. I need a break from it. Reading a biography is not going to be the break, okay? As much as I like reading history and stuff like that, it's very, very rarely the break and peace that I need, right? So, okay, great. So what do I read? Well, it depends. It's not like I have a specific book here. Unlike movies where, yeah, okay, The Princess Bride is my go-to sick movie. Books, I like to find books that are fun in some way, okay? That doesn't mean they're comedies, right? Lord of the Rings is a fabulous book. I can get lost in Lord of the Rings, okay? And part of that's because there are characters there that I want to spend time with. The same is true with any number of other books, right? For a while, Harry Potter fell into that category for me. Less so these days, just because I'm not quite as into the Harry Potter stuff as I was when I was younger. But it's the same type of thing. It's something I can sort of fall into and enjoy. I've recently found a number of other books. There's one, it was like, there's an author, T. Kingfisher, and it's a nom de plume. I forgot what her actual name is, but this is how she publishes this genre of books. And she has a particular sense of humor in these books, whether it's A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking, right? Boy, just that title alone, A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking? This is just bizarre. And it follows this teenage wizard. Her power is that she can do literal magic with dough, okay? She brought a sourdough starter to life, right? It's now sentient. She can make gingerbread men dance. She can convince bread that it really wants to be soft and fluffy and not burn when it goes into the oven, right? That type of thing, right? Baking. Well, it turns out her skills become essential for saving her city, hence the defensive baking. But the book overall is just fun, right? And there's a number of others that she's written. I grabbed one of her books off from the library. It's like, okay, this seems fun. It turns out it's a romantasy. Okay, the book is fun. It still has that characteristic humor. I'm not. I don't need my books to be erotic in any way, and so far it's not really. But still, it's one of those things. Anyway, the long and the short of it is that the book is fun, and I like being able to curl up with a book that is fun. Man, I read a book. I was actually read a series. It was the first book is called Wool, I think, and it's the series that the Apple TV show Silo is based off of. And it popped up on my radar because I was watching Impulse SV videos and streams because, I like Hermitcraft and Minecraft and stuff. And his base this year was inspired by Silo. I said, awesome. Let's check this out. Man, this is a series written by an author who hates joy and happiness, man. The book, it doesn't have the happiest of endings, but at least our group escapes the silo, and now they're set up and they're good. Well, obviously that was too happy of an ending, so we had to write a short story that messes all of that up. It's like, can we not just have a happy ending? Apparently not. Those are not the books I go for. I would not be reaching for the Hunger Games books, for example. Okay, aside from the fact I don't like them, they're not fun. They're not happy. They're not something that I'm dealing with enough angst and stuff during the rest of my day. I don't want to descend into a world of angst and lies and deceit and murder and all of that stuff. Right? That's just not what I'm going for. Okay, that's not to say a good book with lies and deceit can't be fun and totally what I'm going to be grabbing, but that's not it, right? Now, another book I don't pick up as often as I should would be, actually, multiple books would be the scriptures, okay? Speaking of books with deceit and murder and all that stuff, right? But sometimes, finding time to just spend in the scriptures is a good thing, okay? I'm particularly partial to the Book of Mormon or the Gospels in the New Testament. But, whatever floats your boat, right? If you like working your way through Isaiah, go for it. I'm not going to tell you that not to. Isaiah is awesome. But whatever works to sort of get me sort of out. Now, the problem with reading a book is that I have to be more present for it. Now, that's also the benefit for it, okay? I can't just throw a book up on the second screen, okay? It doesn't work, right? I actually did that a little bit yesterday. Actually, I was trying to make that the first screen. I was like, okay, I just want to sit and read a little bit. But I really wanted to watch this live stream of that was on Twitch. Yeah, it doesn't work nearly as well as I would like. So books really are almost, if I were to rank them with what we've talked about so far, it'd be sort of movies and then books and then meditation. Okay. But there's one other thing that I often do to help deal with that emotional chaos, and that's music. Okay. Now, welcome to Music Free Static, right? That doesn't mean I hate music or I don't like music. In this case, the name was taken from a radio show that my dad used to do. But music is often my first step. Okay. Depending on where I'm at. Like if I'm at work, I'm not going to be putting on a movie. All right. I will be able to put on music. And that is really great. Okay. And sometimes I could hit it a number of ways. Sometimes, I just need to go find my favorite song or something. I don't really have a favorite song, but you get the idea. Sometimes I'll just fire up the playlist and let it go. And sometimes it will take me to fabulous places. And sometimes I'm hitting skip because I really don't need whatever that song is in my life at the moment. Okay. It's not helping. Right? Because remember, this whole point is to try to calm that emotional chaos and recenter. And there's some songs, there might even be fabulous songs or songs that aren't even, you wouldn't think would be bad for this. Okay. So for example, I like the Piano Guys. The Piano Guys have lots of fun music, right? And if you've not heard them, it's a couple of guys. One guy plays cello, the other one plays piano. And then they've got a couple of others who come in on occasion with vocals or if they need some other accompaniments. And then there are some pieces that are dual cello and other things. Okay. But it's an instrumental group for the most part. And they're really good, right? And often they'll do mashups, which is really fun, right? They did a mashup of Let It Go from Disney's Frozen and Vivaldi's Winter. Yeah, no, it works. It works really well, and it's lots and lots of fun. They did one. It was actually a collaboration with Lindsey Sterling, I think, early in both of their careers, where it was Mission Impossible and Mozart, I think. Right? But they've got a number of those types of mashups that are fun to listen to. They're great. But as fun as they are musically, they don't always work to pull me out of whatever emotional chaos I'm in. Okay? So yeah, I'll skip them. That doesn't mean it's bad, right? There are certainly times like I'm not feeling great and I get a track that comes on that's sort of encouraging whatever negative-ish feeling I've got going on. Yeah, that like to try to avoid too. But whatever it is, typically my playlist will go because I've got music I like. Surprisingly enough, I have music I like on my playlist. And sometimes songs come on that I didn't know that I needed to hear right then. I mean, I was listening to some music the other day just because I wanted some music on while I think I was writing up this outline. And as a song came on I hadn't heard in years. It's like, man, I needed to hear this song today. I can't even remember what it was now, right? It was just one of those, I have not heard this in forever. And I needed to hear this. It's not even one of those songs that's like high on my song rankings if I had to rank them. Oh, I remember what it was. It was Under the Boardwalk by Bette Midler from the movie Beaches. Okay. Now, the song Under the Boardwalk is great, but Midler's take on it from the movie is, I don't know, particularly uplifting in some ways. Okay. And so is the original song. I don't remember if I have the original, but I like hers. But it's not one I typically go for as, oh, I need to go listen to this song. But it just came up in the shuffle yesterday. It's like, yeah, I needed to hear this one today. Thank you, song randomizer. I needed that. So sometimes that is awesome. And then I have to admit, there are days where it's, yep, I just need to queue up some songs that are going to sort of fit and or actually more specifically channel my angst, okay? Because sometimes I'm feeling a little bit of something and I just need to, yes, we're going to let this out and move, right? And there are a couple of them that hit me in those ways. It's like, was it Miracle of Sound, I think it is? Did a song called Valhalla Calling, and it was inspired by Assassin's Creed Valhalla, probably. It's the Viking-themed Assassin's Creed game, okay? And yeah, that song comes on. It's like, yep, we are going to just, we are soldiers and we are tough and we are going to power through this. And then there's one, they often come up. One of my daughters introduced me to a musician, Beth Crowley, and in a lot of ways, Crowley is very emo-ish. Okay, not falling into the My Chemical Romance or even Evanescence type of heaviness, but that sort of feel. And sometimes, yep, I just need to not necessarily wallow in my stuff, but let me give something to express these feelings so I can get through them. Okay. So Valhalla Calling was one. Beth Crowley has a couple, Please Take Me, Hero or Villain, and Warrior X in particular. That just, yep, I'm just gonna queue up some of those, and we're just gonna go. Speaking of Evanescence, Bring Me to Life, or I forgot. There's one which is annoying because I think it's my favorite track by them. Anyway, that one's really slow and haunting. You'll probably know it. Drop it in the comments. It was in Daredevil, which was, speaking of movies that are interesting, but dial that up, and I throw it on my playlist. I just work through it. I just end up with about 20 minutes of angst. And if I've got a spot where I can sing and sort of emote and just, yes, I can, it helps me. All right, I've pushed through that. I'm energized. Let's go. Okay. And because sometimes I don't need to hide from the emotions. I don't need to reset the emotions. I just need to feel them and get through them without wallowing in them. Right? And you understand what the difference is there? I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but I don't want to just sit there and steep in a pool of emotional chaos, okay? Sometimes I just need to admit, or that, yep, I am feeling this. Let's feel it, and let's get through it, and let's acknowledge that I have the emotions, right? You don't want to bottle them up necessarily, but I just want to, yes, I'm feeling a little angst. I need to push through this, and now we're out the other side. Okay. There's a line, or I don't remember if it was in a song or somebody else said it and became a song or whatever, but the line is, if you're going through hell, keep on going. Right? The idea is that you're going through a hard time. Don't stop and live in that hard time. Push through and get out. Right? And so sometimes I have to queue up some music that will let me do that. That will let me just push through this and come out the other side. Okay. The worst thing I could do is queue up some music and then just live in that space. Okay. Because it's not great for my mental health. Okay. I don't know if it's good for yours, but probably not. I don't know of anybody who recommends living in that negative emotional space. Now, so again, don't hide the fact that you have emotions. You don't want to bottle them up and cause problems for yourself later, but you want to work through them. I certainly need to work through them, right? But there are times when I can't. And I need to be able to emotionally reset. And said, music will often help. It'll redirect things, which is great. And so I don't even start into that pool of emotional gunk, right? And then sometimes I'll cue it up so I can push through, right? So if I'm going through the order here, which I know is totally not the direction this podcast ended up going, was start with music, can help sort of direct me, or if I'm home, sometimes I'll start with a movie. Okay. There are TV shows that might do this for you too. Star Trek, for example, is a great, typically uplifting show, right? At least the original series, Next Gen. DS9 is not the most uplifting of series for me, but whatever. Whatever floats your boat. Okay, I'm not you. All right, you like what you like. But yeah, I'll start with movies or some music, something that's going to sort of gently redirect the emotions somewhere else, typically while I can then move on with my life and do other things, okay? And then the next phase, if I need to go there, is a book. Because the book will let me separate from the emotional chaos a little bit and focus on what's happening in the book. And usually, like I said, I pick something fun. And then if it gets really bad, I go into meditation. And with the meditation, I shut everything off, and that's the full mental reset. Okay. Now, none of these things go through and pretend your problems don't exist, right? That's not on the list here. It's just like, okay, I need to take a break. I need to put down my load for a minute. And I need to just I just need to chill. I just need to rest, right? If you're on a long hike, you're working out, you're doing something that requires a lot of energy, sometimes you need to take a break. Emotions work the same way. If you're doing a lot of emotional lifting, sometimes you need to put the load down. And that's what this stuff does, right? Now, other things that may work, prayer definitely can sit high on that list. So that falls in the same thing with the scriptures is, hey, let's focus on something else. Other people I've talked to who are probably better people than I am also recommend service, right? So the idea is I need a break from me. I need to get away from me for a while. Obviously, everywhere you go, there you are. But let's get out of the selfish part of that, or at least the self-focused part of yourself, and let's go serve others. And so maybe it's you go help out at the local animal shelter and help acclimatize kittens to humans. I don't know, right? Something like that. Or you go help at a homeless shelter, or you help clean, or you do whatever it is you do to help serve others. Again, that can get you pulled away from your emotional self for a while, because now you're focused on someone else. Excellent ideas, right? There are lots of other ideas. And if you have some ideas of how to help refocus your emotional compass, maybe, drop them in the comments, because I know we could all enjoy learning from each other and finding different tips and tricks and things. These are a few of mine, right? These are definitely some of the things that really help me out. Because yeah, I'm I may be tough and macho, you could tell by how manly I am, and with the giant. No, not. I can't even pull that off. But the what? I'm a middle-aged old man. It was, heavy, who's a little heavy, and no, but to get out of all of that emotional garbage, this is what I do, and this is definitely a works for me. Maybe some of this will work for you, but whatever you do, don't wallow in that emotional muck. Find a way to break out of that swirly of emotional garbage, okay? Yes, if you can imagine your emotions giving you a swirly in nastiness, that's really not a picture I need in my head right now. Really, I don't. I'm sorry I just put it in your head, but that's what it is. If you've got something that you can do to help pull yourself away from that for a little bit and give yourself some calm, find ways to do it. Okay? Let's not escape our responsibilities. We still have things that we have to do that sometimes are part of causing that. But we often just need to put down the load for a little while. And then we can pick it up and go, right? We can sleep now so we can run better later, right? That's the plan. That's what we need to do sometimes. And however you choose to do it, I hope you can find that emotional peace and calm in the chaos. And until next time, be excellent to each other. And this is Music Free Static signing off.